One bowl of soup. That's what built the most feared army in human history. A thick, black, blood-filled broth so disgusting that foreign visitors would literally gag the moment they tasted it. One Greek nobleman from Sybaris took a single sip, spat it out, and famously said, "Now I understand why the Spartans don't fear death. After tasting this, dying must feel like a relief." But here's the twist nobody talks about. That same soup, that disgusting black broth, fueled the warriors who held back 100,000 Persians at Thermopylae. The same soup that made grown men vomit was the secret weapon behind the most brutal military machine the ancient world had ever seen. This is the story of melas zomos, the Spartan black broth, the soup that tasted like death but built the army of legends. Let's go back to around 700 BC. Sparta, a city-state in southern Greece unlike any other. While Athens was building philosophy schools and theatres, Sparta was building soldiers. Pure, brutal, unstoppable soldiers. From the moment a Spartan boy turned 7, he was taken from his mother and sent into a military training system called the agoge. He wouldn't see his family again for years. He wouldn't sleep on a real bed. He wouldn't wear warm clothes in winter. He wouldn't eat enough to feel full. The Spartans believed comfort created weakness, hunger created strength, pain created warriors. And at the center of this entire system was the food, or more accurately, the lack of it. A young Spartan boy was given just one main meal a day, and that meal was almost always the same thing, the black broth. Melas zomos, a soup so simple, so cheap, and so bitter that no other Greek city-state would even attempt to copy it. The recipe was brutally basic: pork, salt, vinegar, and blood. Yes, actual pig's blood. The blood was poured directly into the boiling pot and stirred until the soup turned a deep, dark, almost black colour. That's where the name came from. The black broth, the colour of war, the colour of death. Now you might be thinking, blood soup in ancient times? Why? But here's where the genius of the Spartans hits you. They weren't trying to make food taste good. They were trying to build the perfect warrior. And blood, as disgusting as it sounds, is one of the most nutrient-dense substances on Earth. It's packed with iron, packed with protein, packed with vitamins. A bowl of blood soup gave a Spartan boy more energy, more endurance, and more strength than any normal meal of bread and vegetables could. While other Greek children were eating soft bread and olives, Spartan boys were drinking iron-rich, protein-loaded broth that turned them into walking machines. But the broth wasn't just about nutrition, it was about discipline. Because here's the thing, it tasted absolutely horrible. The vinegar made it sour, the blood made it metallic. The pork was usually old, tough, and chewy. There were no spices, no herbs, no flavor, just survival in a bowl. And the Spartans knew this. They wanted it that way. Because if you could swallow this soup every single day for 20 years without complaining, you could swallow anything in war. Pain, fear, hunger, cold, wounds. The black broth wasn't just food, it was training for the soul. Eating it became a test, a daily reminder that comfort was the enemy. And here's where the story gets even crazier. The Spartans didn't just eat this broth as boys, they ate it for life. Even adult Spartan warriors, even kings, ate the same broth at the Syssitia, the communal military mess hall. Every Spartan male, no matter how rich or poor, no matter how royal or common, was required to eat with his brothers in arms every single night. And the meal was always the same: black broth, bread, a small piece of fruit if available. That's it. No fancy meats, no imported wines, no exotic spices. The Spartans believed luxury food made men soft, so even the wealthiest warriors ate the same disgusting broth as the youngest recruits. Equality through suffering, brotherhood through shared misery. And the foreign visitors? Oh, they had stories. Greek historians like Plutarch and Athenaeus wrote about the black broth in detail. They described how visiting nobles, ambassadors, and even kings from other Greek city-states would be invited to taste the famous Spartan soup. And almost every single one of them reacted the same way: disgust, horror, shock. Some refused to even finish a single spoonful. Others claimed it was the worst thing they had ever eaten in their entire lives. One famous story tells of a king from Pontus who traveled all the way to Sparta just to try the legendary broth. He took one bite, gagged, and immediately spat it out. When he asked the Spartan cook how anyone could possibly eat such a thing, the cook reportedly replied, "You have to bathe in the Eurotas River first," meaning you have to live like a Spartan, train like a Spartan, suffer like a Spartan. Only then would the broth taste right. Because to a true Spartan, this wasn't food, it was fuel for the soul. But here's what truly blew my mind when I researched this. The black broth actually worked. Modern nutritionists have studied the Spartan diet, and the results are stunning. The combination of pork, blood, vinegar, and salt creates an almost perfect ancient superfood. The protein from the pork built muscle. The iron from the blood boosted oxygen flow and stamina. The vinegar improved digestion and killed bacteria. The salt restored electrolytes after long days of training. A Spartan warrior could march all day, fight for hours, and still have energy to spar at night. All thanks to a bowl of soup that tasted like death. And the proof is in their battles. The Spartans were undefeated for centuries. They crushed armies twice their size. They held mountain passes against impossible odds. They terrified entire civilizations. The famous Battle of Thermopylae in 480 BC, where 300 Spartan warriors held off 100,000 Persians for 3 days, is just one example. While Persian soldiers were collapsing from fatigue, the Spartans kept fighting. While Persian troops needed elaborate meals, the Spartans needed only their black broth. Their food was simple, their bodies were unbreakable, their will was iron. And here's something almost nobody talks about. The black broth even shaped Spartan personality. The Spartans were famous for being short with their words, direct, sharp, brutal. Today, we still use the word laconic to describe someone who speaks very little. That word literally comes from Laconia, the region where Sparta was located. And historians believe this brutal communication style came from the same brutal lifestyle they lived. When you eat blood soup every day, you don't have time for fancy words. You don't have patience for soft conversation. You say what you mean what you say, and then you get back to training. But like every great civilization, Sparta eventually fell. By 371 BC, after the Battle of Leuctra, the Spartan army was crushed by Thebes. Their numbers had dwindled. Their society had become too rigid, too closed, too brutal even for itself. Slowly, the city declined. The training system weakened. The black broth was still served, but the men who ate it were no longer the warriors of legend. By 200 BC, Sparta was just a shadow of its former self. By 200 AD, it was a tourist attraction. Romans would visit Sparta just to watch boys being whipped in old training rituals, the way modern people watch reenactments at historical sites. The legend remained, the reality had died. And yet, the black broth is still remembered today. Modern historians, chefs, and even military training experts still talk about it. Some have even tried to recreate it using authentic ancient recipes. The verdict? It really is as disgusting as the Greeks said, but also as nutritious as the Spartans believed. A perfect bowl of brutal, bloody, life-giving soup that built one of the greatest armies in human history. So the next time you think Sparta was built on swords, shields, and discipline, remember this. The real weapon wasn't iron, it wasn't training, it wasn't even courage. It was a bowl of black soup that nobody wanted to eat, but every Spartan needed to drink. Because in Sparta, you didn't eat to live, you ate to fight. You ate to suffer. You ate to become something more than human. If this story shocked you, hit that subscribe button and join the Alternate Past family for more forgotten history like this. And tell me in the comments, could you drink Spartan black broth every day for 20 years to become unstoppable? Yes or no?